usually the two quickest wins and biggest costs inside of teams that are kind of invisible costs is how you use email. And so like learning how to get to inbox zero is critical. That could save 3-5 hours a week. But then meetings also is one of the most costly things inside of companies. I was reading an article and I think it's something like $38 billion a year is wasted in meetings in the US. I think that was the stat from last year. And also when you think about the cost of a meeting, like everyone has an hourly rate. So I think it first starts with what's the cost of this meeting? And an easy way to think of it, some of your people might not be hourly. Even if their salary, assume 2,000 hours a year working hours. So if it's a $100,000 a year person, divide by 2,000, it's $50 an hour, roughly. And then you can make the adjustments. If it's a $50,000 a year person, it's 25. If it's a $200,000 a year person, it's 100. And then, figure it out. So, if you get 3 people on a call for an hour that all make $100,000, $50 an hour times 3, it's $150 meeting that you're having there, right? So first is to really understand the cost of this. You have a so what makes a meeting more expensive? The higher the hourly rate of people, the longer the meeting, the more people you have in it. So if there's anything that you can do there in terms of reducing, like maybe you don't need to cut the meeting that you had each week. Maybe instead of it being, how long was that meeting? Was it an hour or 30 minutes? Maybe you could cut it to 15 minutes and then it's less painful and it's, relevant and you get value out of it. So can you cut the frequency, the number of people, the length, or maybe even cut it at all? Are the things to always be thinking about. But meetings can be really powerful if you do them right, And so a couple things to think about is, one, have an agenda so that you can stay on point. You don't want to show up to a meeting and people are like, oh, what are we talking about today? Like you should have an agenda and you have someone making sure that you stick on point, decisions get logged, action items get logged as well. Agendas also are really helpful because going back to CPR, communication, you've got Slack and Microsoft Teams and all these other tools. You don't want every time someone has an idea, the worst thing is they just start dumping it to you in Slack or Teams and then nonstop notifications, So you want to have an agenda to give them a place to dump non-urgent things that can wait till next week or next month's meeting. But your brain is for having ideas, not holding ideas. So you have to give them a place to dump it so that they're not walking around trying to hold on to this thing. So an agenda serves multiple purposes, but the best use of a meeting is for live collaboration. So as you're trying to think about how can we reduce the length or the frequency, any aspect of a meeting that could be done asynchronously, like a report out. What was your assistant's name? Jan. So say Jan has to, say she's giving you a report out on the metrics of your social media and podcast from last month. That doesn't need to be live. She could pre-record that, right? Using tools like Loom or other ways. And she could say it's 5 to 10 minutes of an update on how the metrics are going. Record a Loom video of that. Let's not talk about it live on the meeting. And you can watch it when you're in the back of an Uber or when you're going on a walk or whatever, right? So if you could just strip out all the stuff that could be done asynchronously and just focus on the synchronous part, which should be live brainstorming or a sensitive conversation too. You don't want to asynchronously tell someone they're doing a crap job, and right? But another thing to realize is it's not just about saving time, it's about optimizing time. Time isn't linear. Not every hour slot on your calendar is worth the same. So if you're doing those meetings at, say, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, if your time's worth $100 an hour, that time slot actually might be $1,000 an hour time slot, right? Monday for me, Monday at 9 is the most valuable slot on the entire week. I've just had a relaxing weekend. I woke up in the morning, did my workout, my morning shake, all that stuff, and my brain is at full horsepower at that point. Versus 6 to 7 o'clock on a Friday after I've had 100 Zoom calls and I'm tired and I'm in the back of an Uber and I don't have Wi-Fi and I don't have my laptop. That's a less valuable time slot. So the Monday at 9 might be $1,000 an hour time slot, and the Friday at 6 might be a $20 an hour time slot. So if I can do a time shift and now watch Jan's video in that $20 an hour time slot, I'm still absorbing everything I need to absorb, but I'm optimizing my time. And now I can keep that 9 a.m. Monday time slot for stuff that's more complicated, that requires a bigger decision, that really needs that full horsepower. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.